Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. We got to talk about episode 5 of The Bachelor because this was satisfying.
Guys, we finally got there. This is it. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And if you want to support us on Patreon, you can find that link in the description. We're doing Survivor Micronesia over there, which is super fun. Please join
Yeah, we
us.
are. Oh, yeah. Hey, guys in the chat. Thanks for joining us for a
Busy
little
Blue.
early
Yes.
today. So thank you for joining us. But this was the episode, y'all.
This is it.
Actually, sorry for your loss, Busy.
Did he love Victoria?
The one person, Busy was the one person who actually liked Victoria, but the rest of us celebrated.
We do, yes. Bye, Victoria. We're all happy you're gone.
She's gone. But first, we start the episode with just like some casual strolls around the property, but a lot of sound bites of this whole OG versus newbies, yada, yada.
I'm like, what is the timing of this? Like, when did these strolls happen? Because it's like strolling around the grounds of, this property in Pennsylvania. And then all of a sudden they're in their gowns. They're ready for the rose ceremony. Because we left off the last episode, Katie confronting Matt at the end of that group date. We never got a, group date rose from that situation because it was such a mess. But now we're strolling. And then here we are. We're at the rose ceremony. And Matt comes in. I do want to point out that we get the MJ Varsity Squad reference right at the top here with just the women. But then Matt comes in right away. I loved this because he's like toxicity, bullying, mob mentality, and everyone's faces drop, especially Victoria and Anna. And it is, I loved it.
Oh, it was so good. Enrique, thank you so much for the super chat.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, well, I can't say Anna's face dropped because it went into one of her terrified looks with her teeth in her mouth, and she was like, "Oh, this sounds like me." Oh,
right. Well, she's like, it's about me. We all know it's about me. Like, she immediately is, because she even, we saw in the conversation with Brittany where she, according to the edit, immediately realized what she had done and was kind of apologetic about it. I think you make a good point that there was probably more to that conversation before she came around to like, you're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. But she's like tail between her legs. Like, she is busted, red-handed, totally guilty, and she knows it. And Matt pulls Brittany aside first. And that's like the final confirmation of like, yeah, we all know what this is about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he also threw in a little soundbite about a rumor that could ruin someone's life. I mean, he really just took every bullet point that Katie gave him. And so that is clear. Anna knows that she's the one who spread a rumor or just told everybody something that could affect somebody's life. So he walks off with Brittany, and Brittany's like, yes, let me tell you some things, while the rest of the girls are like, oh, well, what could this be? Are we? No, never toxic. What?
No, I mean, even people like Chelsea, who I have really enjoyed and didn't really think was like messed up in this whole situation, but she's sitting on the couch like, I really don't think it's like a toxic house. Is it really toxic? And Michelle's like, it's toxic. Yeah, we're all uncomfortable here. And then they're all apologizing. And, Kit even is like, I'm sorry if I contributed to any of this. And Ryan is like, how convenient that you're all apologizing now. Okay, sure. I believe you.
She's like, there's a lot of ass kissery happening at this point. Like, people are just like, oh, if I ever made you feel I'm so sorry. But I was like, because I love Kit, and so I was like, yeah, Kit, get on the right side of history. Let's go. Get your apology in real quick here, girl.
Yeah, she's trying. But again, these new girls in their confessionals are just kind of like, this is
Well,
true. And Matt's finally seeing it.
yeah,
So sorry to all of these girls who were a part of it
yeah,
because you busted. And so
yeah,
once he has a really nice conversation with Brittany where she, I think rightly, maybe she's laying it on a little thick. I don't know. But she's like, my mom watches this show and this
right.
could ruin my life. And I'm like, don't worry, girl. Like the edit is on your side here. Like
Yeah,
America's rallying around you.
yeah.
But she probably doesn't necessarily know that in the moment. And so she's
No.
emotional about this. She's like, this is not what I signed up for. Clearly it's not.
Right. You
And
you
Matt,
applied for a dating show and you
yeah,
show up and like you're kind of slandered. Like, yeah,
uh-huh,
that's a shock to the system for
it
sure.
is. Yeah. And Matt is receptive to all of this.
Hmm.
He's like, I hate that this
Yeah,
is a thing that I even have to deal with. Like, you're dealing with what you're dealing with is much worse, but this is also not what I signed up for.
yeah.
I don't want to have to like resolve conflicts like this. This is stupid. And so
No,
as
and
soon as,
it seems like he has a sense of responsibility
yeah,
that that this house reflects, what he's looking for in a wife, and so he wants to sort of be there for these girls that are on the wrong end of this stick kind of thing and
yeah.
make the vibe better, which is a good sort of responsibility sense that he has. I was happy to see that from him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's clearly recognizes like these women didn't have anything to do with this. They didn't have
Yeah.
any choice of when they entered the house. And this is just the
No.
situation that we're in. And so the fact that there's like ganging up happening, that's so dumb. Like, I'm shutting this down. And so as soon as he's done with Brittany, he walks right up to Anna and he's like, I need to talk to you. And she's got her little like fembot ponytail going on. And she's like, again, just kind of like, she's like shrinking into herself, because
Yeah.
she knows
She knows.
she's in trouble.
She got caught. She is in trouble. The parent has, caught you sneaking in after you snuck out, and you are
Mhm.
now gonna have to sit and listen to that. She does look good. I love this ponytail. I love this little dress thing that she had on. So I was like, way to just like look good as you go out on a really horrible note here, Anna.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think
And she's like, "Yee, hi, Matt. Oh, yeah. So let me just say, I feel really bad. Oops.
No,
My
I honestly
bad."
feel like this is to her credit. She owns up,
Yeah.
because we see the opposite from the other
Oh,
person who's involved
hello.
in this. But Anna sits down and she's like, yeah, listen, I said something that I shouldn't have said, and I am totally owning it, and I'm sorry. I regret, like,
Mhm.
because the thing is, Anna is gone regardless. And so whether she admits it or denies it, she's out the door. So like good for her. It doesn't make it any easier for her, I think, but she's looking much better in the process
Yeah.
because even if she tried to deny it, that was just going to make it worse for her in
Yes.
the
Yeah.
long run. So like good for her for being like, I said it and I'm sorry and that's not who I am. And Matt's like, I respect you for telling me the truth, but you are not part of my journey anymore. So please
Ugh, no,
see
you are
not
not.
yeah, I'm just gonna walk you out now.
Let me just take you right on out. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm,
I liked that he sort of responded with, I mean, I get it. I've said some things I regret as well. Like it
mhm.
happens to
Yeah,
us. But like you said, you're not part of my journey. I
yeah,
will not be marrying you.
no.
So I'll just go ahead and take you out right now. And he walks her out, we're all in this house together. So the girls are like, what's this? What's this? What's happening?
Mm,
Oh, they're walking. Oh, she's
yeah,
gone.
yeah. I did love because I'm now a Maggie stan after our
Oh, yeah.
conversation last week about the dancing segment. Just how Maggie is like sort of like floating above all of this. Like she's not like Katie, like confronting the problem, but
Hmm.
she's also not Victorian Anna part of the problem. She's just
Yeah.
like outside of it. And so I just love this. It's such a throwaway shot, but it's like the girl's reacting and Maggie's on the end of the couch and she just kind of like turns and looks and then is like totally unbothered by the fact that
Oh.
Anna's being walked out. I'm just like Queen Maggie, just unbothered by everything. I love it.
She's like, "What show am I on?"
She's like, oh, Anna, take me
Okay.
with you. I need to
Yeah.
get out of here.
One less girl. Okay.
But yeah, now
So
it's Victoria's turn, right? But we see a lot of her on a gaslighting tour with these women, and she's like, It was all fun and games. Like, it was never malicious.
I am
I
not
Yeah.
malicious.
I was gonna warm up to you eventually, Brittany, so
Mhm.
like this doesn't really need to be a thing, sweetie. She's just really
Yeah.
trying to change the narrative.
She is. I think many people are probably on their sort of like their little tour of
Hmm.
everything's fine, right?
Yeah.
I've been perfectly an angel this whole time, right? Like these are
Right.
just jokes. I think, but
Jokes.
we're seeing a lot from Victoria because she needs to do a lot. But we see first Matt talk to Ryan.
Mm.
And Ryan goes ahead and says names to
Yeah,
Victoria and does a little bit of a tear. I have a problem when you cry too early with your
sure.
significant other. Like you
Sure.
just met. Don't cry.
Yeah.
But everybody deals with the feelings differently.
Mm.
And she is breaking down. And Matt, he really responds to people who break down.
Yeah. And what I loved about this was Ryan says, before she's crying, she goes, "So the problem is Victoria." And Matt goes, "Yeah." Like he knows. He's like, "I know, I get it. Like she is a huge problem." It's like this is not good when Matt
Ah.
is just acknowledging, like, you really don't need to say anything else. I know.
I want to know in this moment, I want to know, is he like, shoot, I just figured out Victoria's a problem when I believed her earlier and got rid of who I don't even remember her name now,
Yeah.
Marilyn. Or
Right.
in his
Yeah.
head, is he like, I know, but the producers keep making me keep her and I'm drawing a line in the sand. Is that what's happening in his head? I was
That's what
wondering.
I think. I would like to believe that because, like, we've been reading the body language all season, and he has
Yeah,
not been
he's
into
not
Victoria.
into her.
So I think he's like, yeah, I know. I'm equally exhausted by her, but she's, telling the story of being called a hoe because she's a dancer, and it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know that they aired that. I don't remember
No.
hearing Victoria say that,
Mm-mm.
but to hear her retell it is just like, yeah, I believe you. Like, I'm not surprised to hear that
No.
Victoria said this, but it's just disgusting. And, then Ryan comes out of this conversation and she's kind of recounting it to, is it Katie? And
Yes.
Victoria's there. And
Yes.
and she's kind of, Victoria's like, well, what did you say to him? And she's like, well, I did mention that, you have done XYZ. And Victoria's like, well, that's fake. And, then Ryan starts to respond and Victoria just walks away.
Yeah, I mean, Victoria's working so hard at gaslighting everyone and changing the
Mhm.
narrative. And when Ryan's like, no, actually, you said some negative things, and I did mention that to Matt. She's like, I would never. Oh, like as she like starts to go. This is when we start to see the downward spiral because she knows she's in trouble, right? She's
Oh
like,
my God.
she was in charge of the Maryland narrative and she is not in charge of this one. And she's like
Mhm.
starting to lose it. And this is when I first see her bra. And I was like, yes, the bra is back.
It's back.
She
It's
turned
back.
around. And I
Mhm.
feel like from this moment on, the camera angle preferred her from the back. They were like, they showed me that bra so many times that it felt like it was a burn from the producers.
Right. They're like on the walkies, like, the bra's out. Make
The
sure you
bra's
get the
out.
bra.
Are you shooting her from behind as she walks away? Thank you. Uh, she did get the note that I gave her about the nude color, so I'll give you
Mm.
props for that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we can still work on that. But that's a different story because right now Matt's going to grab you, Victoria, and he wants to talk it
Mm.
out.
Well, she is, as if we didn't already know this, it's like full blown narcissism is like unleashed here. She's saying, like, I am the perfect woman for Matt. All of the other girls in the house are fake. It's like, this is delusion. Like, I can't believe that you are a real person and that you would actually believe these things. It's really wild. And when she sits down to Matt, she's like, that hoe comment was really taken out of context. And he has the perfect response of like, what context would that be appropriate? And
Yeah.
she literally goes like this.
She has no answer. She was like, oh, I wasn't expecting you to have such a perfect response back to that. Ooh. She's like,
Yeah.
what can I come up with? She's got nothing. There's no
No,
answer right there.
no.
And
She
honestly, from the start, David, when she walked in, she tried. She was like, Matt, the way you're handling this is so great. And did you see his smirk? He was like, he did a little like, I can't even with you. Like, are you kidding me right now? He was not even gonna
Yeah,
for a second.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Right. And I mean, you're totally right. She's got nothing. She cannot reasonably justify any of her words or behaviors, but
Mm-mm.
that does not stop her from trying. She's
Yeah.
still in the confessionals, trying to talk herself up. She's having a meltdown, crying in the bathroom, crying outside, telling a producer, like, I am the only woman here with a working brain. And like, I'm not being rude. I'm serious. It's
Yeah.
like
She's like,
she's
I
lost
am
it.
his wife. I am his wife. This
Yeah.
is not how I want. She said something like, this is not how I wanted it to go down. Like, as if she had this whole thing planned. And she is under the delusion that she's the one with the brain, the best fit for him, which there is literally no chemistry. Even if you weren't causing problems right now, he is not attracted to you. Like,
No.
his behavior with the other girls is different. So she is like just delusional from top to bottom, but she's spiraling. And so we're just seeing it all melt down. And he
Mhm.
doesn't walk her out. He lets her go on this spiral. And we're left wondering, like, he
I
can't keep it,
was
right? He
I
can't.
turned to my friend that I watched with and I was like, she's not going.
Ah,
They're gonna make him keep her. And I was like, I might be done. I don't know
ah.
if I can watch this. Like, this is a joke. If you're gonna escort Anna out and not Victoria, you're gonna let Victoria stay. Like, this is a joke. So, needless to say, I was very pleased with what went down in the rose ceremony, but I was not convinced at this point that she was going to stay just because Anna got the early exit and
Yeah.
then Victoria didn't. I was like, this
Yeah.
is ridiculous. She's going to get the
Right.
last rose again and she's going to stay for another week. But thank God she didn't.
No, she did not. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't really thinking she was going to stay. I was like, well, this has to be her. This has to be it. She's
Yeah.
literally losing it. Like,
I just thought, like, she's
David,
been such a.
she's sorry to cut you off, but she said, if I leave, the whole house is going to be upset. I
Yeah.
bring such joy to this house. They're going to be so upset if I leave.
Narcissist. Like,
Oh,
it's bad. It's bad. I'm really having to hold the word crazy back because I don't want to call a woman crazy, right? But
I don't
like,
want to call her crazy, but she is definitely unstable. I have definitely
mhm,
moved past this as a character. Like, she
yeah,
unraveled in a way that she is not stable. I
yeah,
don't know her actual diagnosis, but there's one.
yeah.
There is one.
Yeah, right. But I just thought, like, Victoria, they're not just going to let her go on a rose ceremony. Like, she's going to go home on a 2-on-1 or some
Mm.
kind of like a bigger exit. But then when she did go home on a regular rose ceremony, I was like, this is even better because they're not sending her out with any kind of spotlight. It's like,
Nope.
you're just one of 4 women who got eliminated in this rose ceremony. So get to stepping.
Yeah. She tries to change that up a little bit, but let's get to
Hmm.
that because after they talk and Victoria goes on a spiral, Chris steps in and is like, ladies, cocktail party's over.
Yeah,
We're going straight to a rose ceremony. Like, let's get
right.
this over with. So we get them all up there, and now we just have to like count down to see who he keeps and who he's not. And he makes a statement right off the bat here.
Boom. 1 and 2, Brittany and Ryan, the new girls,
New
quote
girls,
unquote.
new girls, and the two that he has had, serious conversations with and wants to show them he's
Yeah.
supportive of them, show the whole house
Hmm.
this new OG versus
This is
new, whatever this
over.
says, out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Done. And, I didn't write down the order, but ultimately we are left with there is a new girl going home, Catalina, and then Mari, who I was kind of surprised that she's
So
leaving
very
at this point.
surprised. Yeah.
Lauren, who got a group
Lauren.
date rose at some point, and then Victoria also. So those are the 4.
Yeah, it was when we got down to that last rose, I was like, wow, there actually are some girls here that I'm gonna be surprised go.
Yeah.
But Victoria is one of them that doesn't get a rose. And she like slithers to the back and hides behind some girls to make sure the other girls do their little walkout first.
Yeah.
and waits till she's the last one and then tries
Mhm.
to make a scene, but Matt handled it very well. He
Oh,
gave
she's
gave her nothing.
yeah, she storms up there and it's like, honestly, I feel sorry for you. And you're listening to hearsay and not the truth. And he just stares back. And it's great because he just is not giving her anything to work
Mm-mm,
with. You give
mm-mm.
her one word and she'll latch onto that and go off for another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So he
Or
gives
even if
her
he like
nothing.
laughed her off or something, even if he
Mhm.
was like, "Psh,"
Yeah.
she would have taken that. But he gave nothing, just stood there. So she's just standing there waiting for something. And then she had to leave. Like, that's
She
it.
had to walk out. That was it. Yeah. And I loved that, like, I'm sure somebody hugged her, but the way the edit went, nobody was hugging Victoria.
No.
Catalina's getting hugs. Lauren's, oh, Mari, we're going to miss you so much. Mari, bye. We love you. Victoria got no love from anybody, which was just, again, very satisfying.
If I had to guess, I bet you MJ gave her a hug goodbye because MJ seemed
Oh.
like she was so confused on how Victoria would get caught up in any of this
Mhm.
and would go, but we didn't see
Yeah.
it, so we don't know.
Yeah. So that's that. They're kind of like toasting to like, okay, turn over a new page. Like, let's leave all of this behind us.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Let's
Yeah, or
go.
do. Please let the door hit you. But they sleep on it. Chris brings a date card the next morning, and Rachel is getting a one-on-one date, and it is the perfect time in the season for an eventual winner to be getting a one-on-one date.
Is it, David? Now, I don't know
Mhm.
anything about that, but boy, this was the date. This was the date you save for someone
Mhm.
you got your eye on.
It's the princess date, right? It's like we're taking you out to try a bunch of clothes on. She gets taken, I don't know, is it 100 yards to a different part of the,
Yeah. Mhm.
property in a Rolls
Mhm.
Royce. She's got like a
Mhm.
driver who showed up to take her there. And this is, if we're to believe, if aliens came to Earth and only watched The Bachelor, this
Yeah.
is the date that every girl lives for, right? Like this is every girl's dream to go and try on a bunch of fancy dresses and get a pair of Louboutins.
Yeah. Well, my sister and I, because my sister and I watched this together, we were joking like, we would hate this. Like, I'm not comfortable trying on clothes in front of other people. Like, I really need a safe space. Things don't always fit me right, and I feel
Uh-huh.
bloated, and like, I don't feel pretty right now. This is how a real woman thinks. But then we laugh because we were like, Rachel is 24 and
Oh, yeah.
gorgeous, perfect
And
figure,
yes.
and she's like, everything off the rack is going to fit me perfectly. So
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah. And so she arrives, and Matt's like, I brought my great friend, celebrity stylist Ty Hunter. And I'm like, wow, are you reading
Yes.
that off of a cue card?
Yes.
I did look up Ty Hunter, and apparently he was Beyonce's stylist. Like, he's
Oh,
legit.
very cool. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know about you. I thought these dresses were terrible.
I did not care for any of this because I'm like, this is a montage I see in every romantic comedy. Like,
Yes.
why do I care about the dresses she's trying on? And my heart goes out to Matt because I don't know any significant other who likes to sit there and watch their partner walk
No.
out trying on 1,000 dresses.
No.
Like, Douglas for sure would be like, are we still here? I don't know. You look the same in this one. Is this one different? I don't know. Like,
And then
how's this
Poor,
fun?
poor Matt had to try on that terrible tuxedo jacket. He was like, look at this. Rachel's wearing black and white, and I have this black and white jacket with like a what is that around?
Like a row of
Like
fur or something? Well,
a-
I don't know what it
some
was.
kind of
But they
like
didn't change
outer.
his
Oh,
turtleneck, so it didn't work. It wasn't actually like an ensemble.
and
It
it
was
didn't
not.
fit.
It didn't fit.
It
It
was
was
awful.
It was like, why is this a date? I don't understand what's happening right now. And then Matt has to act like, I just want to do this for you. I want to give you this. And I also want to give you a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Okay. What world are we in
Right.
right now?
Right. He's like, I brought you a pair of Laubautins. And she's like, it's Louboutins. And he's like, oh, sorry, I was just sounding it out by the way it's spelled.
And of course like, do you think most people would like take a glimpse of the bottom and like that red just like jumps
Yeah.
out at you? And she's like,
It does pop. Yeah.
and you know, true to most of us, she's like, I don't spend more than $30 on a pair of
Yeah.
shoes.
Right.
I get all my shoes from Target. This is amazing. Girl,
Yeah.
relate. I hear you.
I know. I feel like the shoes was a legit thing. Like
Yeah.
you know, Louboutins are nice. Like everybody knows that. And they fit her perfectly. They look great. Like these are quality shoes. So I'm sure she was like, oh, I will take this. Like the dresses I'm
Yes.
going to pretend to like for the cameras, but like I
Sure.
will keep these shoes. Thank you.
Thank
Then
you.
she shows back up to the lobby with bags on
producers.
bags on bags of
Oh,
empty bags stuffed with tissue paper. I'm like, she does not have this. She did not keep every dress. Give me a break.
I know. I was like, this is so many more bags than we even saw in the montage. Like, did they give her everything? I fell for it. I couldn't imagine they were actually empty bags. So David, thank you. You're correct. There were probably some
Yeah.
empty bags. But this is just torture from the producers. She has to walk in. They got those girls lined up and they were like, make sure you're on the couch when Rachel comes back. And she has to walk in and she handles it so sweetly because she's like partially embarrassed. She's like,
Yeah.
I tried on dresses.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, oh, wait, are those red bottoms? Oh.
Right. So then she has to show that she's been gifted a pair of Louboutins. Like it's the girls are seething, you know, like especially Piper. Piper's the new Anna in terms of like watch her face
Jealousy.
because she just has like dead face where she's like kind of looking around like I'm not amused. I don't like this whatsoever.
Nope.
And Rachel is like, okay, well, I guess I will go get ready for dinner.
And doesn't the like driver show up with something else and to give her like the driver shows up way too much. It's just laying it on thick. He's like, and then there's this big gift box that I have to give you too. And she's like, ah. And I think that's the blue dress that she ends up wearing. I think anyway, it's just like they're trying to play out Pretty Woman, which if you're sitting there and watching it, I would be jealous too, even though I wouldn't even like this date. But like watching you get this date, I'd be so jealous. So oh, it's so uncomfortable. But anyway.
Yes, right. Well, Rachel is she's like getting ready for dinner. And then we get the group date card before we see her head off to dinner. And the takeaway for me, I forget who all was on the group date, but like
everybody
specifically, everybody except for Kit. Katie and Abigail are the two who are kind of like bummed and confused at this point. Like Abigail, especially, I understand her being confused. She's like, I got the first impression, Rose.
Yeah.
And now I'm just waiting.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was confused too. I honestly thought this was Abigail's time to get a one-on-one. Like,
me too.
I'm with her. You got the first impression, Rose. You guys seem to connect, but he hasn't given you a ton of time, and he hasn't taken you on a one-on-one. Like, I feel like it is Abigail's turn. And again, you guys, I'm a fan of Kit, but I'm a fan of Kit because of her fashion and like I kind of just like her attitude. I don't think she's a good fit for Matt. And so when she gets the one-on-one, I was very confused on why Abigail didn't get it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, you know, they kind of fed us something, I think, last week where he sat Kit down and they were both kind of like, we're feeling the chemistry. But I don't know. I just haven't seen the chemistry yet. You know, it's weird. I feel like maybe, I mean, this is like conspiracy theory, whatever, but I'm like, maybe Kit had something contractually where it's like, I'll go on this show if you give me a little bit of camera. I'm going to need at least one-on-one date if I'm going to go on this show. And they're like,
I mean, she might. Cynthia sent in a letter and she was like, look, we're going to need this to go a certain way. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe in the back of Matt's mind, he was like, maybe I want to marry into a rich, famous family.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just like, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I don't know that Kit wants him to marry into her rich family, but she does put in some serious acting. But before we get to Kit's one-on-one, that's a ways away. We've got this Rachel dinner, and Rachel's very sweet and humble in this situation. You know, like she clearly in the like princess part of it, she was like you said, like, I'm shopping at Target. Like, this is a lot. And then she's like, I feel like you're out of my league, Matt. Like, she's very not self-deprecating really, but just humble, like I said. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm always paying attention to you. You're not the one who jumps into my arms first, but I always notice you. You have this confidence about you. And then what does he say, Sarah?
Oh, well, there's a few things before we get to that. But then he says he's falling in love with her. This is it, y'all. This is the first time we've heard it. He said it.
One date. They're not even done with one date together yet. And he's already telling her that he's falling in love. The Bachelor is reaching new levels of ridiculous.
But I thought this is what we do. We wait until he says it, and then we're like, this is the one.
I guess this is what we do now, but normally it's like you do one full date, and then maybe on the second one-on-one you say that you're falling in love. Like,
you're
here we
saying
are.
It's too early. Okay.
Yeah.
It's too early for them because they've only had one. This is their one-on-one.
You're literally do not know this person. Yes.
Well,
yes.
That's true for all of them, David.
Yeah.
He doesn't know any of them. This is insane. She did a very, I agree with you. Like she was humble. She was modest. Like she's adorable. I really do genuinely like her. And she was saying that she has a guard up, like a wall up, and it's hard for her to let it down for him, but that she ultimately circled around to, like, she really, really has feelings for him. And that was apparently all he needed to hear to say, I'm falling in love with you. And she's like, oh, yeah, let's do it.
He says it first. Like, that almost never happens. I cannot recall a time. But they're both kind of saying, like, I could see walking out of here with you. You know, they're basically saying, like, if I had to pick right now, would it be you? Like, you're the one. And so to me, Rachel is still my winner pick. Like, this was...
She's absolutely the leader for sure. We knew that they've had a connection from the beginning. She's definitely who we thought was going to be in the top, three-ish. And yeah, agreed. This date went perfectly. There is definitely chemistry between them. He gives her the rose, obviously. But yeah, they seem like they really connect. So still love them. Love them together. Let's go on this group date though.
Let's go to a proper farm and meet a proper farmer who's going to explain that farming is a metaphor for relationships because sometimes you have to shovel manure.
Yep.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. We just went from the most like hotty-totty date to the opposite. So we just had the polar ends. Yeah. These girls are literally shoveling poo. They are. They are doing, and of course, do they get a heads up that they're going to be on a farm? They're all not dressed appropriately for this activity whatsoever. There just doesn't seem to be anything cutesy or fun about it. Like they're going from like different animal to different animal, doing labor. Like this isn't a date. I don't understand it.
I mean, it is about like, you just got to like smile and have fun here, right? Like this is not going to build any kind of like romantic moment with Matt, except when he makes out with Piper. But, it's just about like laughing and having a good time and like, don't be a stick in the mud, because if you're a stick in the mud, then it's like, okay, you can't even like have a sense of humor about anything, So for the most part, I think, the women are having fun with it. MJ's ready to shine, right? She's like, you gotta step out, have a moment on these group dates. And so she like fully manhandles that goat. She's like, I'm gonna milk this goat. And the goat's like, get off me.
Don't touch me.
I do not consent to this.
No, the goat did not consent. To the point that the farmer was like, the goat doesn't like you, please step back. And she was like, oh, okay. Yeah, MJ has the way that the show works down. She gets it. So she's like, when I am on a group date, I step up and I have to be the star so that I can get his attention, be on TV, all of the above. But she does it with a balance of, I want to milk this goat, and then aggressively attacks the goat. Or I want to get the eggs from this chicken. No, chicken, do not come anywhere near me. It's like, you're not giving me this like lighthearted, fun vibe. Even though you're trying, and then you're like, oh, animals. Oh,
all right. And Katie's like, MJ's really putting on a show, but it's working. She's playing the system because Matt is paying attention to her. And then they're doing this egg toss thing, and Matt throws the egg and it breaks in her hands, and everyone's pretending to be upset, even though that's kind of how this game is supposed to go. Like it's supposed to break in your hands and you're supposed to laugh about it. And then MJ runs after him to chase him, and he speeds away, and he knows, I think, that MJ is chasing after him, And nevertheless, he runs straight into Piper's arms while she's doing an interview with producers and makes out with her aggressively, with MJ
For,
looking on in the background.
for like a few minutes. Like
Yeah.
they can't separate. Like he comes up and she's like, ah, ha, ha. And then they start making out and then like keep making out.
Yeah.
And then like he can't, like he kind of like steps back and he's like, I just can't, like I just want to kiss her some more, is kind of like what he was doing. While MJ is like, oh, okay.
That's uncomfortable. Okay. And
Just
Piper,
watch that.
like, they're wonder where you are, ha ha ha. But like, you know, she's not necessarily like, stop it. Like she's
No.
because like we've seen Piper be like very
Give me
discouraged all
attention.
episodes. So I think, you know, the fact that he's paying her some extra special attention here, she's into it. Then finally he's like, you're going to get me in trouble. And I'm like, no, do not blame her. You're a grown man making your own decisions here. You're going to get yourself in trouble. And he comes back after an inappropriate amount of time. It's like, we all know what you were doing. And this just sends the girls into, you know, into their heads now. They're like, okay, well, obviously Piper is the one that he's into the most here. This is Michelle is kind of handling this particularly hard because she just had that great one-on-one, but now where is, you know, her attention from Matt? I kind of understand this happening to the women here. I don't think it's unjustified.
No, but like Michelle, you have to think about like, so this is like what Sarah went through. Sarah got an early one-on-one and then now has to pretend he's with other girls. Well, Michelle just showed up, got that great one-on-one, and now has to adjust to, oh, but there's also these other girls. Like she now has to go through that just a few weeks later. But it's the same sort of jolt to the system of like, oh gosh, we like poured our hearts out together. We connected, we like made out. And now I have to pretend like we're all just
sharing
like,
him
in a sister wives situation here.
Yeah.
So Katie is consoling her because Katie's the best. That's what Katie does.
Yep. And then they go to the cocktail portion of the evening, and Chelsea gets pulled aside first. It's not a particularly deep conversation, but he just really seems to like her. You know, he's like pulling her aside, reassuring her.
I liked seeing that because they did have such a great conversation last week. He gave her that that rose on the group date. And so, I mean, if I were her, I would want this sort of reassurance as well. So I like to see it.
Yeah. And then Abigail gets reassurance. And this was
Abigail.
This was, you know, she's opening up more. I think this is like, if she's playing the game, this is a good move to feel like, I'm like, rather than retreating into herself and feeling like he's not paying attention to me, and so I'm going to put up a wall, she's offering even more of herself here and saying like, listen, the reality is like, let's talk about what life is if we end up together. There's a good chance if we start a family that my kids are going to be deaf. And my dad left us after we got our, you know, has trauma from this and she's sharing that with him. And it's great to kind of like rekindle that connection that they had together because Matt really responds well.
I mean, we've already said like we're feeling for Abigail in this episode. Like she's really sort of like coming down a hill here because they had started so high, but she's not getting anything again from him. And she's in her feelings. I feel for her. But yeah, whether this is just genuine or if she had to make like, I got to play this game decision, I'm not sure. But this was a great move on her part to make sure that she's back up in the top of his mind. But what a like large life thing to talk about.
I know.
Imagine having to, you know, in every relationship that you're exploring to see if this might go further, you have to like give this heavy news of, just so you know, my children are biologically predisposed to this condition and it might be a possibility. And we both talked about how we want families, but you got to know that. And she's bringing it to him of like, look, we had this moment early on, but we haven't really like been connecting again. And I want to have these moments with you. I want you to know that we were abandoned because of our disability by our father. And those things worry me. And of course, he connects on the lack of a father.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's like, you know, I obviously don't know what your specific experience was like, but I can relate to having an absent father. Like, it's just, Great for her. She's like
Yeah.
back up towards the top, back on his radar. I don't know if she ever
Yeah.
really left, but like this is like solidifying her place on his radar. Then he talks to Michelle, and she kind of has a more even keel response than what we saw with Sarah, if we're comparing those two storylines, which I think they are similar. But she's just kind of like, ooh, that group date kind of sucks after a one-on-one. And he's like, I know, but like, don't worry, what we had was real, and I'm still interested. So she kind of gets her reassurance. And then he's like, time to talk to AJ, because I'm not done cleaning house.
You mean MJ? Yes.
Did I not say that?
You said AJ. I don't know who that is, but MJ.
Yes, MJ. Yes.
Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, so I had also gained some information that I need to circle back on with MJ. So MJ's little time with him doesn't go as she would like, because he's like, so let's talk about some things.
He like switched it up on her, which I liked, because he was like, I really hope that the house is like a healthy, safe space. And she's like, you know what? It is. Like, gosh, we just all get along so well. And he's like, actually, I've heard that you're an antagonist. And she's like, like,
she's like, that's, I can't. I mean, she has one of those classic defensive responses of like, how dare someone say anything about me like this? She doesn't own up to anything. She doesn't apologize.
She will not stand for someone calling her character into question. It's like,
because you know what, David? She leads by example, and she only gives out peace and harmony. And I was like, wait, what?
Not only does she give it out, she preaches.
She preaches.
Sarah.
Peace and harmony. And this is the first time we hear it. We're going to hear it some more, but I was real confused on how she leads by example with some peace and harmony, because we have not seen that.
No. So Brittany shows up and she's like, could I steal Matt? And MJ's like, actually, no, Matt, unless we're done. And he's like, yeah, we're done. We're done. Yeah. It's all good.
He's like, we can talk later. It's fine. And she's like, oh, crap. So they part on that note, and that makes her want to like take it to the group. Ooh. She's upset. So let me take it to the group.
She comes in, guns a-blazing, right? A little more subtle than that. She's like, sorry to interrupt, ladies, but someone called me an antagonist.
Let me antagonize you to tell you someone called me an antagonist. You're like,
right, literally. No, she's like, and I just wish that you would, come to me and talk to me about it. It's like, this is the wrong vibe for this. Like, if you are really, really stunned to have been called an antagonist, I feel like the vibe you would come in with is like, hey, I heard that someone said this about me and this is really not who I am. And like, let's just talk this out. Like, I'm so sorry if I'm coming off that way, but she's coming in like ready to like unload on anybody who, is owning
like
up to
an
this.
Antagonistic person would.
Exactly.
Just a little self-awareness would be nice, but not everybody has it. So she's like coming at the group, and, a few people are shocked and blown away that this is coming out, but Jessenia, she's going to stand her ground. She's got a few things that she's just like, yeah, actually, yeah.
She's like, I did say your name.
I did say your name. Come to think of it, I did. Tell him exactly what you said.
Yeah. She's like, remember that varsity joke? That was you. And we definitely heard that at the top of the episode. So we can back Jessenia up. And it starts out kind of like MJ versus Jessenia, which is ultimately what this is. But I love that Katie jumps in and she's like, sounds like you're deflecting right now, because Katie is just draining the swamp. She's like, I'm getting all of these toxic people out of here. Like, I'm not allowing any of this anymore.
Yeah, Katie, I feel like I am a lot like Katie in the fact that like you try to let people, like you try to stay out of it for a minute, but then you get to a point and you're like, you're deflecting. You're not answering any of the questions. You're not owning up to anything. You're deflecting. Like you just like get to a point where you're like, I have to point out that you are not handling this well.
Yeah.
Is this somewhere in there? Is this when they were like, It sounds like some people have owned up to things, but that you're not. Is that what we're
Uh-huh.
hearing? That you're
Yeah.
not gonna tell Matt? Is that what we're hearing here? You're not gonna own
Right.
up? And MJ's like, I just can't. I just can't.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Katie's like, let me just boil this down. It sounds like you're not going to be honest about your behavior. Okay, great. Then we don't have to
Great.
keep talking about this because
Yeah,
you're a lost cause.
Mhm.
But that's kind of like where we leave it before we hand out the group date rose. And
Right.
we
'Cause
go
this
to
is when
check in
Matt's-
on when what?
Oh, wait. What are we gonna do?
Well, we're going to check in on Kit, right? She gets her like one-on-one date card while all this like drama is brewing at the group date.
Okay. Mhm.
And Kit's is about like dinner at my place. And then
David.
who knew that cooking was so important to Kit? But she is wiping away all of these non-existent tears that Matt would invite her. Matt is listening to me and he heard me say how much cooking with my mother meant to me. And she's like really trying hard to make herself cry. She's sniffing, she's taking deep breaths. And I saw like a glimmer of a tear on the inside of the tear duct, but she's wiping the outside. And I'm like, Kit, I'm not buying it.
I bought it because I stan Kit for some reason. I don't know. But I was also surprised. I was like, Kit, stop being emotional. I am such a person who's like, keep the feelings in. Keep it together, Kit. I thought
really
you were that kind of girl.
It might be like we were talking about this with Drag Race, like a COVID quarantine isolation kind of thing. Like maybe emotions are just bubbling up to the surface a little more quickly because these people have been, it just doesn't feel normal for people to be this emotional about these things, you know?
Right.
But Kit is touched beyond.
Yeah. Well, you should be touched because you're getting a one-on-one here. And I'm not sure why you are, but I was like, great, Kit's really feeling it. I was like, dang, I like dinner at my place just sounds like lovely, but like she really was like, he hurt me. And
I love cooking. Like, okay, we get it.
But it does loop into some stuff we hear later, but let's roast that later because we got to get back to this group date where Matt walks in and he very clearly is going to give this rose to Abigail. And I'm so grateful that he does.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, okay, Abigail feels good. She should feel good. I have a feeling a one-on-one date is probably coming next week with her. Like, I don't think we need to delay any longer.
Reality TV gods, let's go. Yeah. Give Abigail this date. My goodness. Yeah.
She got the first impression rose. If she leaves without a single one-on-one, that would be ridiculous.
I can't. It's too much.
But yeah, she's back towards the top. But now, you know, MJ is, I can't even keep I keep saying like, who's the villain? I'm throwing that out the window because every single week it's like a new person that we just need to focus on, you know, and that happens. Like as soon as Victoria left, it was inevitable that, you know, when you're in a group situation like this, you find someone else, some other common enemy, and it's MJ. And remember, Sarah, I said, there's something about MJ. She got the first rose at this rose ceremony. There seems to be a confession, you know, a lot of confessional time with her. There's some kind of connection here. I did not see this coming, but it's definitely entertaining.
Yeah. And if he genuinely does have a connection with her, I'll be interested to see how this like continues to play out because we definitely don't have a resolution in this episode. But yeah, I mean, I've just been distracted because I love her hair so much, but the things that come out of her mouth aren't great. And she's not giving off a lot of, you know, peace and harmony.
She's not.
Don't know where that is. But before we get to some of the juicy stuff with MJ, we got to take this date with Kit and Matt. Let's go dinner at his place.
So now, Matt,
let's just pause here for a second because we've talked about it's so weird that Kit has this one-on-one. By the time we get to this part, my sister and I are like, is this one of those dates where the Bachelor says, I'm not sure that I really like this person. Let me take a one-on-one and then walk them out and they don't come back.
Like an easy situation from Aisha's season. Oh, good call, because this does feel like maybe it's about the time for that kind of thing.
Right. And it's like, I don't think they're actually vibing. Like, what's going on here should have
Mm,
been Abigail. So maybe that's what this is. Like, it's going to be let's just touch base. Yeah, this isn't really working and you can go.
yeah,
But that is
yeah.
not what happened, David.
Certainly not.
She shows up looking cute, looking great, and they're baking cookies in the kitchen.
Mhm.
And what we're hearing from her, granted, we just heard this like real, what Abigail had to say, this like real life, like just huge stuff from Abigail. And then we've got Kit going, my life has been gold Bentleys and red carpets, and I just need a normal man to make me feel like, what is that what we were crying about?
Gold Bentleys,
Gold!
Sarah.
Why they gotta be gold? Kit, why they gotta be gold?
Gold. Why do they have to?
Bentley was enough.
Is enough. And you literally said gold. I didn't even know there was a gold Bentley, but that's what your life is.
We wouldn't know that, David. We
I was
wouldn't.
like, this is the most unrelatable thing I've ever heard. She's like,
so
I'm
unrelatable.
just always at these, fashion events and walking the
My mom is
carpet,
so famous.
rolling up in my 24 karat gold car. And so I've got walls up,
I need to find a man who can like handle that, but also like stay home with me and cook with me so I can feel normal.
Oh my God.
Like, Kit,
Yeah.
I love you, but like none of this is a story that is relatable to anyone, and none of us are like, our hearts are not out for you.
No.
We just no.
I mean, knowing that, imagine what was going through Kit's mind when Rachel walked back with her like bags of clothes. Kit was probably like, it's not that much stuff.
No, Kit was like, I do this every day. Whatever. This is my life.
Right.
It's a Tuesday.
Oh
But
my
what
God.
I really want, and thank you for listening, is I just want a night in at home because I want to feel normal. I'm just so over being rich and famous.
I mean, maybe it is like a
but-
grass is greener on the other side kind of thing. She's like, I don't need the princess date because like my life is way better than anything that the Bachelor producers could cook up at like an abandoned shopping mall, But, she wants to bake these cookies and Matt's feeling comfortable around her. He says they're enjoying each other's company and really, having a blast. Meanwhile, this is cut with them like straddling each other and making out on the counter. So it's like,
it was
I don't know how well you're
just
getting to know each other.
Yeah. They really just mostly made out on the counter. And to be honest with you, she kind of ate his face like he eats faces. And so it might work. Like there was a lot of just so maybe they connect on that level. But yeah, they mostly made out while she talked about wanting to be normal. And he was like,
well, and
cool.
how important the kitchen is to her. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. She's like, the kitchen is where I belong. I'm like, barefoot? Like, what story are we telling here? Like, why do you keep
get a show on Food Network then? I don't know. Is that what she's looking for? She's like, I should have a cooking show. That's it. And Matt was like, you know what? Maybe I want to be a kept man. Maybe this is working for me. And I'll just be in the kitchen with my rich wife. Yeah. Because he's all about making out with her and gives her a rose and did not say this isn't
well.
working.
And let's not forget that she now says that she's falling in love with Matt. She's starting to fall in love with him. They made cookies and that's all it took for her to fall in love with somebody. And Matt, as he's watching her, she's really saying a lot. Like she's not saying nothing. Like she's giving him some speeches here. And he's over there like watching her like, just getting ready to go and lubing up those lips, classic Matt, just ready to make out. And he's ready like, you just get to the end of a thought so I can give you this rose and we can make out. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And they do. So that date went way better than I thought. And now let's go back to the big chateau or whatever we're at here, because there's a new card coming and the girls are not expecting another card. What is this?
Knock, knock, knock. It's 2-on-1 time, everybody. So we
Oh,
all know, I think,
vote.
where this is headed because it's
Yep.
been set up very beautifully for us. But
Uh,
this is a kind of a new format for the 2-on-1. We
yeah.
saw it in Tasha's season with Noah and Bennett, but now it's the same kind of thing. Like the 2-on-1s used to be an actual date. They would leave the property and they would have a whole thing. It's just a mini group date,
Yeah.
and then they make their decision. Now it's like, we're not wasting a whole creative on you.
No.
You're just going to
Mm-mm.
get 10 minutes before the actual rose ceremony to fight it out. And then one of you is leaving and one of you is staying. That's all we're going to give you for this 2-on-1 moment. But I loved how they edited this with them rolling their rolly bags up, sliding down the handles, glaring at each other across the pillar. I was like, this is incredible.
What was that? They like come around this middle thing together and walk together. And like MJ's in like a power suit, and they're like this whole edit of them like walking in together like it's a
Yes.
true battle. Like
No.
I was like, what did they talk through this? Were their
The
producers like,
way
this is how we want this to go down?
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that MJ is walking in her power shoulder, double-breasted 80s blazer dress, I was
I love
like,
it. I love it.
girl, you look great. This
You do.
is a look.
It is. And your strut, you got that strut down, and she's like, I mean business. But it's so interesting because she does have this like, I'm coming at kind of antagonistic charge to her, but Jessenia is just like got this like very calm, stern thing about her where she was like, you do not scare me at all. But just a little like a gentle edge to her. Like MJ's got a rough edge.
Yeah.
And
Like
Jessenia's a
MJ's
little
like,
softer.
I'm coming for you. And Jessenia's like, well, I've got the facts on my
Yep.
side, so I'm not
This
nervous.
was beautiful. First, to your point that they don't get their own date is like, no, don't waste any time on these girls. Like,
Yeah.
I think they know it's just like, we need to have a little battle here and get one out. He's not like, I love you. Let's
No.
spend more time together. So
Mhm.
they come in, they sit down, and
Across from each other.
I don't know their signs, but like to me, what I witnessed was MJ is all Aries. She is like fire. She came in, she was aggressive. It's all
Mhm.
about me. Let me tell you how this is going to go down, and let me put you in your place. And Jessenia was all a Capricorn, and she was like, I've listened to you. Are you done now? Okay. So now let me just calmly tell you and poke holes into everything you just said. And the words that you said previously are these things. And she even like threw in well, let's roll back those tapes. Like you'll see when the show airs. And I'm like, oh my God. Jessenia put on a clinic with the way she handled this.
Yeah, because MJ kept being like, you're disgusting. I'm done with this. Matt is going to find out the truth. And Jessenia's like, he will find out the truth.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
This is all being recorded. I don't know if you're aware of that, but like, we all know what happened. And she's like, actually, I love the line where she's like, I don't know what side we're going to get of you tonight, MJ, because I see three sides. I see the side when you're with the women, and the side when you're with Matt, and the side when the cameras are rolling. I was like, whoa, okay. Somebody check on MJ. Is she alive after that? Because whoa.
Yeah, and MJ doesn't have a lot to say back. I don't think she's used to someone sort of like laying down some facts to her. And she at one point is like, I'm done. No, I'm done. Like she just can't even listen to anything else. She takes like a beat, and then she was like, but what else I want to say to you? And like just keeps going. And Jessenia's like, well, I'll keep telling you the truth and the facts.
Right.
And she's like, you're questioning my character, which David have you ever said that?
No.
Have you ever said, I feel like someone is questioning my character?
It's such a reality show line.
It's
like nobody
only
ever
said
says
on
that in real
reality
life.
shows.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't. I was like thinking, I was like, never been in a situation where I've thought someone was questioning my character or that I was questioning something. Like that's not a phrase.
No.
Yet it's in every reality show we watch.
Yes.
What is this? And Jessenia's like, oh, I'm not. You said the words. You did it. You did it already.
Yeah. She's like, actually, I think that you're words and your actions speak to your character. It really has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And yeah, Matt shows up. He sits down between the two of them. And of course, it's like to be continued. We
Yeah.
will resolve this later. But like, I think we all know that this is heading towards MJ seeing the door, you know?
You would think, but I have been surprised in the past.
True. Yeah.
So I don't know. And because we do see like odd chemistry between him and MJ, like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
something there. So
Mhm.
is he gonna get like, does he get what's been going on? Does he?
I don't know. I feel like
We should
he's,
also point out that there was a lot more Peace and Harmony. She was like, I
oh,
just
yeah.
started Peace and Harmony. And Jessenia
Uh-huh.
was like, where is it? And I was like, girl, where is it? I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is just, you know, Matt probably knew about MJ already when he found out about Anna and Victoria. And I
Mhm.
think probably the producers are like, okay, we'll let you get rid of Victoria, but you've got to keep MJ and we got to like stretch this out
Right.
for one more episode. You know, we got to
Yeah.
keep like at least one toxic person still in the house. So I have a feeling MJ's going to go. But here's what I'm not thrilled about, Sarah, is that next week in the preview, we've got Tyler Cameron showing up. You know, he's going to shoot some pool with his buddy, whatever, he's back. Heather's showing up to blow up the pod. And then Serena C is sitting down with Katie being like, Katie, you are lighting all these little fires. You are the arsonist. And I'm like, arsonist is an insult I've never heard on this show. And I love it. Thank you, Serena.
It's a good insult. That's a good one, especially if someone is like spreading little fires. But I was like,
Yeah.
wait, Serena, what? Katie's our
know.
hero. So what
I
are you
know.
coming in with? Like, I mean, unfortunately, Matt said Katie's name to Victoria when
Mhm.
at the very beginning when he was talking
He
to
did.
Victoria. And I was like, ooh. So
Yeah.
if Victoria at all let MJ know and the other girls know that Katie is the one who blew up their spot on being bullies,
Yeah.
it could come back to Katie if that's what this is about. Like, I don't know, like what now? What now?
I know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the girls may come for her, but I do think like Katie's got a leg to stand on. She was telling Matt the truth. Like these
Yeah.
women were being terrible to each other. So, you know, hopefully she doesn't get like taken down here because
Yeah, something
hate
with
to see it.
Piper happens too. I mean,
Yeah.
these previews always make it so
Right. But
dramatic.
Piper
There was
does
a
look like
lot
she
of
gets a one-on-one.
crying. Yeah, we didn't see evidence of Abigail getting a one-on-one. I just got sorry, we did not see
Yeah,
that
we did
in
not
the
see that.
preview. You know
Mhm.
what? Serena's face, we don't know Serena too well, but Serena always has this face of like
Uh-huh. Yeah. And
she
she's
looks
been
mad.
like, remember, she was the one early on with Victoria where she was like, you're getting upset.
Yes.
You know, like she's like low key cutting people down, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so it would make sense that she's gonna not be on Katie's side because Katie is
Mhm.
getting them all in trouble. Now, what is up with this Heather girl, and why do we care?
Okay, so Heather, we've talked about this a little bit before, but as a rehash, she was on Colton's season. She was not only a virgin, but she had never been kissed. And I just haven't heard from her in a long time. It's kind of surprising to me that she's showing up thinking that Matt is, you know, the love of her life. But like, you know, Chris is like, what are you doing here? You're going to blow up our bubble. And like, clearly the producers called her. Like, she didn't just show up at the security gate.
Yeah. What are you doing
This is,
here? I approved of
yeah,
this, but what?
it just feels like another thing where they were like, ooh, boy, we cast a boring Bachelor. And so let's bring it and okay, well, now we got the new girls in. They're cycled in now. So let's disrupt this again with a former contestant. Okay, call Heather.
Right. So my sister says that because you know Matt is good friends with Tyler. So Tyler's in this upcoming episode, and they're actually friends. This is the first time it's going to actually be true.
Yeah, right.
They bring in a former contestant, and they're actually friends. But
Yeah.
because they're friends, Matt does know some of these people because he has hung out with, you know,
Sure.
Bachelor Nation, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
it is feasible that Heather has met Matt before, does like him, and is like, I know him. I want to like go for him or whatever. But do we think that Matt's going to give her a chance? Like, it's too late. It's too little too late.
I mean, he will. I think he will keep her. But is he going to end up with her? No.
Well, then what is the point of all of
But
this?
well, what would be the point of her coming and then for him to just immediately be like, "You got to go"? Like, no.
Well, what if Chris is like, "Ugh, all right, Heather, let me see. And then Matt's like, no, I'm not interested.
That would be
No? Is that not a thing?
incredible. I would love that, but I feel like it's not worth the trouble of like having her show up and all this stuff.
Would it be worth the trouble for producers to just have Chris not let her in? Would that be a thing that they do? Or no, if she shows up, she goes on the show. That's
She's
it.
got to be on the show. Yeah.
Oh,
I
all
think
right.
she's gonna join the group for a little bit.
All right. Well, don't take Abigail's spot.
No, you better not.
Mm-mm. We need Abigail to have
Mhm.
more time.
That's right.
Those are cute. I would definitely like Katie or Abigail if she doesn't get picked.
Yeah.
And that-
I would also settle for Michelle if Michelle doesn't get picked by Matt. I think she'd be a great
Well, maybe. I
bachelorette.
don't feel like I know Michelle that well. Like they seem like they
Yeah.
connect, so I support her, but I don't know Michelle very well.
Mhm.
But yeah, she could be.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this was a fun episode, you guys. This was fun.
God. It was.
We
delicious.
got to it. We got
Mhm.
Anna out, even though I enjoyed Anna. She was a character.
Yeah,
but-
I'll miss her.
And then we got Victoria out, and we blew up MJ pretty good. Even if she
Mhm.
stays after this too on one thing, she ain't gonna
Yeah.
last.
No.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Nope.
So that's that.
That's that.
Well, thank you guys for showing up early with us. We had to change our schedule today, so we appreciate you guys hanging out with us live in the chat. But next week, I believe we'll be back to our typical Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific for the next episode of Bachelor.
Yes. And if you are joining us later, please leave us a comment
Yes.
and tell us what you thought of this Victoria meltdown. Please share your thoughts there. Who's going to win between Jessenia and MJ on this 2-on-1?
I wanna know.
And when do you think Abigail's going to get her 1-on-1? What's going on there?
Yes, please. Is there a scenario where she doesn't get it? I can't.
I would be shocked.
I can't with that. Oh, yeah. Gwen, don't even tempt the fates.
Don't even joke.
Honestly, I assume she'll be on Bachelor in Paradise. I feel like she might be on this franchise for a couple more times, but I don't know.
I'm shocked. Again, I don't want to be rude, but like, I can't believe she passed the psych eval. Like,
you guys, the psych eval is not. It doesn't really. It's barely.
Yeah.
It's not what people think it is. It's just not. Also, tomorrow, Thursday, is my very first recap of the Amazing Race Australia with James. That is at 5 p.m. Pacific, so check that out. I am loving it. There's 3 episodes a week. It's a lot, but it's very fun. So I'm very excited to do that first recap. And then, of course, on Monday, we will be back with our Drag Race recap.
We will.
That's what we got for you, you guys.
Lots of fun stuff.
We will see you then. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.